So here's the thing, people today, we're in a situation where that if you look more closely to America's rising population and contrast the average mental capacity against the previous generation when it comes to intelligence decline happening with the United States of America's population, people seem to be getting dumber by the minute. They just can't see how dumb and contradictory their statements are. And to discuss this situation, I've invited a person I personally look up to, and he is the absolute exception to the norm of the otherwise intellectual downward spiral America is experiencing right now. And that person is the president of our great nation, and he will be joining us by phone. Hello, and good day, Mr. President, and thank you for willing to speak to us about this delicate matter.
Hi, and thanks for having me, and I agree with you, Dr. Phill. I wished it was different, but sadly it's not. The people are not so fortunate as me to be specially selected by our Heavenly Father to be so unnaturally gifted with the level of my intellect that if they'd even tried to assess my IQ, their equipment would catastrophically malfunction because the results would shock the system and fry its circuits instantly because it couldn't possibly comprehend the scope of my high IQ score.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. And as a matter of fact, we can immediately use your undeniably brilliant mind to directly establish how bad the situation actually is by subjecting it to the American people and see how many people come back who disagree with that statement and occupy the opposite side of it with their conclusion about your level of intellect. And sadly, the majority suffers from lacking the right mental capacity for them to see the truth about the irrefutable genius that you are.
That's a very smart point, Dr. Phill, and building on your strong point, let me already prove how smart I am by suggesting that it perhaps could be used as the new main scoring factor of the IQ test to draw a conclusion about the person in question's intellect, because that would make the process more immediately obvious of what individual you're dealing with. Right, a real smart person doesn't even have to do a lot of effort to see that I am the measuring stick of intelligence itself.
Yeah, Mr. President, and how about your revolutionary view on reality statistics when you get confronted with the irrefutable evidence of what the statistics actually show? You apply yourself in the most rationally logical way and fire the statistics guy for having shown you the actual numbers you've requested on the employment rates that presented themselves in the negative way is perhaps by far the most damning proof of the unique cognitive intellect you actually possess, Mr. President.
That's a very smart point. For example, Dr. Phill, nobody other than myself has looked at helium balloons and being able to classify regular balloons as anti-helium balloons, because if helium rises, the logic opposite of it is that it plummets when the anti of the chemical agent is acting on the object. So the revelation of that intelligent observation cannot be overstated, but of course when contrasted against myself, it is almost undermining what I'm actually capable of in terms of having utilized the full extent of my genius. Because when it is used against what I'm actually capable of, it would be even accurate to say that it's actually just a mediocre result of what I'm otherwise capable of when discussing the magnitude of my cognitive excellence.
And your theory about the sound windmills produce has the capability to cause the audio format people process in their ear canal to somehow convert the sound to real physical cancer tissue growing as a tumor is just amazing, Mr. President. By that statement alone, you have completely destroyed the scientific community, its progress in cancer research from the very point it has originated, and nobody else but you knows that the showerhead has the capability to, quote you, Mr. President, drip, drip, drip water out of it, end quote, is just a revolutionary insight. People could only dream of coming up with it themselves.
I am glad you brought that up, Dr. Phill. And it's, of course, no wonder that the level of intelligence my insight has brought to the table but the entire scientific community to shame. And I can understand that you can look at the science department with a sigh of disappointment, but please understand that it only appears that way when you contrast that against my unique, unmatched, and unprecedented level of extraordinary intelligence I actually possess. You can't blame people for not being me. And I have another brilliant theory about farts. I truly believe with the right measurements, like consuming biochemical agents that would cause our intestines to convert all the chemical processes, no longer producing methane, but manipulate the flatulence process coming out your ass as octane or butane, and thus directly contribute by reducing global warming by preventing a stronger greenhouse gas runaway from happening. I mean, if our shit is brown, we can't accept the gas coming from it to be green.
Mr. President, thank you for your time and your wisdom. That from what we hear at the Dr. Phil Shit Studios are concerned, has no equal in magnitude and its intellectual merit. And yes, Mr. President, Einstein was the Trump of its generation, no doubt about it. It's an honor to exist in this era, to have the opportunity to be privileged to bear witness to your greatness, sir.